everyone, my name is Bea Angalitut from Group 3 and our group will be discussing the theories related to learner's development. So, theories related to learner's development is the educational trend that was brought out by a number of groundbreaking researchers tells that one can be an effective facilitator of learning if one has a good working knowledge of the learner's development. This topic explores prevailing theories of learning and student development. Various thoughts are offered based on existing research and how they are relating to the ability of a learner's positive learning outcomes. In order for an educator to be an effective facilitator of learning, she or he must have an excellent working knowledge of the learner's development. That is the importance of learning the theories related to learner's development. So we have actually 5 theories that my group will be discussing. First is Sigmund Freud. Second is ERICKSON. Third is Jean Piaget. Fourth is Lawrence Kohlberg. And the last one is Lev Vygotsky. So now let's start with Sigmund Freud's 3 components of personality. So Freud said that personality is composed of 3 elements known as the id, ego, and the superego. So these 3 elements work together to create human complex behavior. So the first component that we have is the id. According to Freud, the id is driven by the pleasure principle, the desire of immediate gratification of our sexual and aggressive urge. The id is entirely unconscious and it drives our most important motivation, including the sexual drive and the aggressive or destructive drive. The second component is ego. The function of the ego based on the reality principle. It is majorly conscious and is more rational, logical, and cunning than id. The ego is largely conscious controller or decision maker of personality. The ego serves as the intermediary between the desire of the id and the constraint of society contained in the superego. The third component is the superego, which in line with the moral principle because it contains the conscience which give a person a sense of right and wrong. The superego developed as a preschool age child learns the rule, custom, and expectation of the society.
Freud's psychosocial stages of development. Freud's theory of psychosexual development consists of 5 main stages. Each one is characterized by a specific kind of conflict and an erogenous zone. Freud thought that individuals could experience overindulgence, frustrations, or both during one or more stages. The first stage is oral stage. In Freud's theory, the oral stage begins at birth and typically lasts until children are 1 year old. The oral stage is characterized by the pleasure center in libido being centered around the mouth. Freud thought this is where the libido is focused, with the rooting and sucking reflex, breastfeeding, biting, and tasting different foods. The oral stage is about satisfying the ID's needs through the mouth. Freud characterized the anal stage as a shift of erogenous zones from the mouth to the anus, and focused on successful toilet training. The anal stage, which Freud believed to take place when children are 1 to 3 years old, shifts the pleasure center from the mouth to the anus, where children find pleasure in defecating. Freud also believed that this is a period of independence. The child realizes that they are persons separate from their parents, which a growing list of individual needs and desires. Freud also taught that the ego, the sense of self in relation to the external world, develops during this stage. Children need to learn to control their bodily needs, and parents play an important role during this phase. Toilet training is on a system rewards and praise can lead to successful navigation and advancement to the next stage. Children feel proud of their accomplishments and begin to see themselves as competent and capable. Phallic stage, characterized by a change in sexual impulse from the anus to the genitals. Freud believed that the phallic stage begins when children are about 3 and continues until they are 6 years old. Freud's theory was that the phallic stage is also when the controversial Oedipus and Electra complexes develop. Masturbation and a focus on the genitals are sources of pleasure during the phallic stage. In addition to the pleasure of masturbation, children may become aware of the opposite sex for the first time. Freud believed that this awareness of sexual differences could cause attraction and rivalry as well as jealousy and fear. His theory was that this can cause in the Oedipal complexes for boys and Electra complex for girls. The fourth one is latency stage. Freud described the time between when children are 6 through puberty as the latent period, when the id is suppressed by the ego. He can characterize this stage as the child relating to the community by adopting values, developing social skills, and forming relationships with people outside the immediate family. The ego and superego play a significant role in this phase, directing sexual energy towards different outlets. Hobbies, social activities, and learning all take center stage. Freud believed that this is when children develop the strongest relationships with others of the same sex, focus their energies on these friendships, and acquire new knowledge and experiences. Genital stage. In this theory's fifth and final psychosexual stage, Freud believed the genital stage starts at the onset of puberty and continues on into adulthood. Freud believed that with the starts of puberty comes a reawakened active libido and sexual attraction. Freud theorized that as opposed to phallic stage, which was focused on self-pleasure. Freud believed that the proper expression of sexual instinct was through heterosexual relationships and sexual intercourse. By extension, if fixation or conflict developed during this or an earlier stage, Freud thought perversions might develop, preventing those sexual relationships. Someone fixated on the oral stage, for example, would find more pleasure in kissing and oral sex than through intercourse.
Erickson talked about the psychosocial development theory. So, in this theory, he proposed that personality development occurs through one's entire lifespan. Erickson adopted the beliefs from Sigmund Freud, who said personality most is established in childhood, that development is characterized by a series of stage-related conflict between two perspectives. So he believed that each stage of development again was focused on overcoming a conflict and success or failure in dealing with this conflict. And each stage can impact overall functioning of a person in order to achieve identity, strength, which he defined as virtues. And he proposed a theory that had 8 stages. So the first stages is the trust versus mistrust. So the first stage of Erickson theory of psychosocial development occurs between birth and 1 year of age, and is the most fundamental stage in life. So at this point in development, the child is utterly dependent upon adult caregivers for everything they need to survive, including food, love, warmth, safety, and nurturing. Stage 2, autonomy versus shame and doubt. So the second stage of Erickson theories of psychosocial development takes place during early childhood and is focused on children developing a greater sense of personal control. So at this point in development, children are just starting to gain a little independence. They are starting to perform basic action on their own and making simple decisions about what they prefer. By allowing kids to make choices and gain control, parents and caregiver can help children develop a sense of autonomy. Stage 3, Initiative versus Doubt. So the third stage of psychosocial development takes place during the preschool years. So at this point, in psychosocial development, children begin to assert their power and control over the world through directing play and other social interaction. Children who are successful at this stage feel capable and able to lead others. Those who fail to acquire those skills are left with a sense of self-doubt and lack of initiative. Stage 4, Industry versus Inferiority. So the first psychosocial stage takes place during the early school years from approximately age 5 to 11. So through social interaction, children begin to develop a sense of pride in their accomplishments and abilities. Children need to cope with new social and academic demands. Success leads to a sense of confidence, while failures result in feeling of inferiority. Stage 5, Identity versus Confusion. So the fifth psychosocial stage takes place during the often turbulent teenage years. This stage plays an essential role in developing a sense of personal identity, which will continue to influence behavior and development for the rest of person's life. Stage 6, Intimacy versus Isolation. Young adults need to form intimate, loving relationship with other people. Success leads to a strong relationship, while failure results in loneliness and isolation. This stage covers the period of early child adulthood when people are exploring personal relationship. Erickson believed that it was vital that people develop close, committed relationship with other people. Stage 7, Generativity versus Stagnation. So during adulthood, we continue to build our lives, focusing on our career and family. Those who are successful during this phase will feel that they are contributing to the world by being active in their home and community. So adults need to create or nurture things that will outlast them, often by having children or creating a positive change that benefits other people. So success leads to feeling of usefulness and accomplishment, while failure results in shallow involvement in the world. Stage 8, Integrity versus Despair. So the final psychosocial stage occurs during old age and is focused on reflecting back on life. So at this point in development, people look back on the events of their lives and determine if they are happy with the life that they live, or if they regret the things they did or didn't do.
This theory is all about Jean Piaget. Jean Piaget was born in Switzerland on August 9, 1896, and began showing an interest in the natural sciences at a very early age. By the time he was 11, he had already started his career as a researcher by writing a short paper on albino sparrow. Piaget continued to study the natural sciences and received his PhD in zoology from the University of Neuchâtel in 1918. It was during this time that he published 2 essays to provide the foundation for his future thoughts and theories. Jean Piaget was a Swiss psychologist and genetic epistemologies. He is most famously known for his theory cognitive development that look at how children develop intellectuality throughout the course of childhood. Piaget's theory had a tremendous influence on the emergence of development psychology as a distinctive subfield within psychology and contributed greatly to the field of education. He also created as a pioneer in constructive theory, which suggests that people actively construct their knowledge of the world based on the interaction between their ideas and experiences. Piaget's theory identifies four stages. First one is the sensory-motor stage. The first stage of development lasts from birth to approximately age 2. At this point in development, children know the world primarily through their senses and motor movements. Second, the pre-operational stage. The second stage of development lasts from the age 2 to 7 and it's characterized by the development of language and the emergence of symbolic play. Third one is the concrete operational stage. The third stage of cognitive development lasts from the age of 7 to approximately age 11. At this point, logical thought emerged by children is still struggle with abstract and theoretical thinking. The fourth one is the formal operational stage. In the fourth and final stage of cognitive development, lasting from age 12 and into adulthood, children become much more adept and abstract through deductive reasoning. Jean Piaget helped shape our foundational knowledge of childhood cognitive development. His theories has influenced not just in field of development psychology, but also other fields including sociology.
Lawrence Kohlberg built on the work of cognitive theorist Jean Piaget to describe how children develop psychologically. Moral development, like cognitive development, follows a number of stages according to Kohlberg. To teach 10 to 16 years old boys about morals and values, he pointed out the importance of moral dilemmas, stories that present opposing beliefs about two moral principles. The Heinz dilemma, which considers the idea of following the law against saving a life, was Kohlberg's most well-known moral problem. Kohlberg stressed that healthy moral development is determined by how an individual thinks about a challenge. Kohlberg analyzed people's reaction and classified them into several phases of moral thinking after presenting them with various moral dilemmas. According to Kohlberg, people advance from pre-conventional morality before age of 9 through conventional morality early adolescence, and finally to post-conventional morality after Piaget's idea of formal operational thought is achieved, which only a few people truly achieve. Each level of morality has two stages that serve as the foundation for moral development in diverse situations. Kohlberg identified three levels of moral reasoning. The first one is pre-conventional, the second one is conventional, and the third one is post-conventional. Each level is associated with increasingly complex stages of moral development. Level 1, pre-conventional. A child's sense of morality is directly influenced throughout the pre-conventional stage. The rules of superiors, such as parents and teachers, are accepted and believed by children. A child with pre-conventional morality has not yet accepted or absorbed society's rules about what is right and wrong, and instead is more concerned with the exterior consequences of specific actions. The Stage 1, Obedience and Punishment Orientation. Stage 1 focuses on child desire to obey rules and avoid being punished. For example, an action is perceived as morally wrong because the perpetrator is punished. The worse the punishment for the act is, the more bad the act is perceived to be. Or, in short, in this stage, children tend to obey the rules only to avoid punishment. Stage 2, Instrumental Orientation. Stage 2 expresses the "what's in it for me" expression, in which right behavior is defined by whatever the individual believes to be in their best interest. Stage 2 reasoning shows a limited interest in the needs of others, only to the point where it might further the individual's own interest. As a result, concern for others is not based on loyalty or intrinsic respect, but rather you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours mentality. An example would be when a child is asked by his parents to do a chore. The child asks, "What's in it for me?" And the parents offer the child an incentive by giving him an allowance. And in summary, child's actions are based mainly on consideration for what other people can do for them. They tend to follow rules out of self-interest. Level 2 conventional. A child concept of morality is linked to personal and social connections at the conventional level. Children continue to obey authority figure rules, but only because they believe it is important to maintain pleasant relationships and society order. During these periods, rules and norms are strictly followed, and the appropriateness or justice of a rule is rarely questioned. Stage 3, behavior of a good boy and a nice girl. In this stage, children assess morality by considering the motivations behind a person's actions. At this age, children can consider a variety of factors while determining whether or not an action was moral. Children at this age often wish to help others, are able to distinguish others' motives, and begin to form their own moral beliefs. In this stage, they seek others' people's acceptance and act in ways to avoid judgment. The importance of excellent behavior and being kind to others is emphasized. Stage 4. Because norms and practices are so important in maintaining a healthy community, the youngsters accepts them without question in stage 4. Rules are viewed as universal, and following them by doing what is one supposed to do is regarded as significant and important. In stage 4, moral reasoning takes priority over the demand for individual approval that was evident in stage 3. If one individual breaks a law, it is likely that everyone else will as well. So, obeying laws and norms is both an obligation and responsibility. The majority of society's active individuals are still in stage 4, where morality is still largely controlled by an outside influence. Individuals become more concerned with obeying, maintaining social order, and fulfilling their obligations. If an act affects others or breaks a rule or law, it is considered ethically wrong at this stage. The level 3, post-conventional morality. Students may reach level 3, post-conventional morality, by early adolescence or young adulthood, though many individuals never reach this level. You may have some high school students who have attained this moral development. However, level 3 consists of stage 5 and stage 6. In stage 5, people begin to value the will of the majority as well as the well-being of society. Though people at this age can recognize that there are times when human need and law are conflicted, they typically believe that it is better when people follow the law. By stage 6, people become more concerned with what they personally feel is right, even if it conflicts with the law. At this stage, people act according to their own internalized standards of morality, even when it contradicts established laws.
Lev Vygotsky was a seminal Russian psychologist who is best known for sociocultural theory. He believed that social interaction plays a critical role in children's learning. Through such social interactions, children go through a continuous process to learning. Vygotsky's theory revolves around the idea that social interaction is central to learning. This means the assumptions must be made that all societies are the same, which is incorrect. Vygotsky emphasized the concept of instructional scaffolding, which allows to learn to build connections based on social interactions. Numerous theories of inner speech have been formulated. Vygotsky's theory, which emphasizes culture, language, and internalization. A contemporary educational application of Vygotsky's theory is reciprocal teaching, used to improve students' ability to learn. Improve students. In this method, teachers and students collaborate in learning and practicing 4 key skills: summarizing, questioning, clarifying, and predicting. For example, a 5-year-old child knows how to ride a tricycle, but can't ride a bicycle, which 2 wheels, unless his grandfather holds onto the back of her bike. According to Vygotsky's theory, this child is the zone of proximal development for riding bicycle.